Hari Om, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Shuklambaradharam Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopashantaye. A warm welcome from the Param Vedanta team. Today is the fourth session of Bhagavad Gita verse by verse. न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचित् नायं भूत्वा भवित वा न भूयः अजो नित्य शाश्वतोऽयं पुराणः न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे. Krishna is telling us, Arjuna, you are immortal, but you are holding on to a mortal body. The body is just a costume for the Atma. It will wear out eventually. Last week, we learned also about the 6 modifications the body goes through. One of the primordial desires is to be immortal. We do work so that we can be remembered. We take portraits, pictures, and Krishna is assuring us that we are already that. You are the consciousness principle, which is not an integral part of the body. It is separate. It is a separate entity intimately connected to the body. However, this immortality, we are wanting, we will not be recognized if we continue to identify with the body-mind complex. We have to disclaim the body as I, and that is the toughest shift for every seeker. This will happen with the grace of God and with consistent and systematic studies under a competent and able guru for a length of time. But first, let's hear the recap of last week's verses by Dr. Ravi Shankar.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. To encourage Arjuna to fight this Dharma Yuddha, Jagat Guru Krishna, the master amongst teachers, explains the Adhyatmik Drishti of the Atma Swarupam with the Atma Anatma Viveka. In the next slides, we see that Atma is eternal and Atma is Nitya and Satya. This has been explained in the verses 15 and 16. In this 17th verse, Bhagwan highlights that Atma is indestructible, Avinashi. Nobody can destroy Atma even when Bhima and Drona are killed. The Atma Swarupa as the Sarvamidam Tatam is explained here as Sarvagataha. One Atma pervades all the bodies, and it is the same Atma which is all pervading. It has no Nama and no Rupa. Recall in the last class that Sarvam Idam Tatam has been explained in 3 other places in the Bhagavad Gita. And that is shown as the existence principle. In the next slide, we see that Atma is Nitya. It is reinforced in the verse 18. The Shariri or body is bound and it is bound to be destroyed. The Shariraha or the indweller or the Atma is Nitya. It is the experiencer. It is the Drik. It is the subject. It is not experience. It is not a Drishyam and it is not the object. Atma is introduced in this verse as Aprameya. And Prameya we know is knowledge. Aprameya is never an object of knowledge. If it is not an object of knowledge, how do you know that it exists is a question. Like we know the existence of a camera in all the pictures on the mobile, like we know that the eyes exist even though we cannot see our own eyes. Atma is the consciousness principle, the experiencer. This knowledge removes the adhyasa or the wheel and it helps to reveal the self. Understand the experiencer in every experience is what our teacher taught us as Pratibodha Vidita Matam. Atma is also intimately associated with the body and it is not attached to the body. It is asangaha. Bharata is name given to Arjuna in this verse by Krishna when he says, you are the seeker and the carrier of self-knowledge. In the next slide, we see this Atma is the killer. This Atma is the self. With the war in context, this kind of a talk is absolute ignorance. Na vijaniti is what Krishna says. Like space accommodates all of the universe and is not touched by it. Like light is necessary for all the transactions but is not affected by the good or the bad transactions. Like the movie screen is untouched by the type of the movie which is screened. Criminal says that he did not commit a crime, but somebody inside made him do so. Self is neither a killer nor is it killed. Atma is akarta, abhokta, because it is the facilitator and it lends existence and is free from all karmas. All the karma, the punya papa and the punarapi jananam belongs to the sukshma sharira. In the next slide, we note that the verse 20 has a change from the Anushtup Chandas to the Upajayati Vritti Chandas, and it is drawn from the Kathopanishad. Atma is like space, is an example, but Atma is consciousness and space is inert. This is a Nididhyasana shloka on the real self. Ajaha, I have no beginning if there is a beginning. Nityaha, I have no end if there is an end. Atma is free from all these modifications. Na jayate, no birth, vardate, growing, viparimate, changing, apakshiyate, aging, vinashyati or mrityate, perishes. It is not affected by disease also. Hence, it is nirvikaraha. Whatever happens to the body, Atma remains unaffected. In the next slide, we now note that Atma has been clearly explained as Nitya, Satya, Sarvagataha, Aprameya, Akarta, Abhokta, and Nirvikaraha. The one who knows all these aspects of Atma, how can he kill or instigate to be killed? How can he be Hanti or Ghatayati? This knowledge that Atma is Avinashi, Nitya, Ajaha, and Avyayam, meaning indestructible, eternal, unborn, and no death, which is seen in the first line of this verse, is the knowledge which is explained as Vedaha in this verse. Now, this knowledge is in two stages. The first stage is the Atma, Anatma, Viveka, which you have now understood. And the second stage is to drop the Anatma and claim the Atma. The point that we say that Atma is Akarta, Atma is Abhokta has to be dropped. And now you must say, I am Akarta, I am Abhokta. Such a person is a Jnani or a Purusha. How can he kill or instigate to be killed? So we can say that the verse 19 proposes, the verse 20 reasons, and the 21st verse is a wonderful conclusion. In the next slide, we see, like a person gives away his worn clothes to buy new ones, Atma gives away the worn out body to get a new one. The Jiva is visible only in a body. The Dehi takes a new Deha. This has been so well explained in this 22nd verse. In the next verse, in the next slide, we see how beautifully our teacher explained the example of the mobile and the body as the Stula Sharira, the SIM card as the Sukshma or the Karana Sharira, and the waves of the network as the Atma or the consciousness principle. He also explained about the consciousness principle being reflected in a clear water or a clear mind versus not being reflected in dirty waters or dirty mind. Hari Om sir.
Thank you, Dr. Ravi Shankar, for a good revision of the class last week. Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om. There are at least two ways in which we can study the Bhagavad Gita. One is what we are doing in each of our classes. When a given verse is studied, we go to each word. Na jayate mriyate va. What does it mean? For the real me, there is no birth, there is no death. So we go through each word and understand that meaning. Ajaha, there is no birth for me. I am nityaha, sashvata. Na hanyate hanyamane sharire. Whatever happens to the body does not affect me. Once we are very clear about the meaning, next is to internalize, to memorize these words. And when we are by ourselves doing nothing or doing some mechanical activity, use it for a silent meditation. Silently remember these words. Na hanyate hanyamane sharire. Whatever happens to my body will not affect me. Why? I am ajaha, I am nityaha, na jayate mriyate. These understanding can be internalized and can make us mentally very strong, particularly for these difficult moments. As we go through difficult moments, we have verses from the Bhagavad Gita like this, which we need to recap in our daily life, particularly when we wake up in the morning. Matra sparsha su kaunteya sitoshna sukha dukkada adaya agama payino nityaha tam titikshasva bharata. Good times will go, even the bad times will go. Everything that I experience, both the good and the bad, are temporary. Therefore, let us be mentally strong to be able to handle these ups and downs. We have a very nice verse that will be explained by Dr. Kiran. Over to you, Dr. Kiran.
Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Nainam chiddanti sastrani, nainam dahati pavakaha, na chainam kledyantopaha, na shosayata marutaha. Weapons do not cut this, fire do not burn this, water do not wet this, air also do not dry this. What is this enam, untouched by four elements? Is it this body? No. Mind-body complex is subjected to modification. We have learned that Jiva and Atma are intricately related, very close. So, changes in the body, does it affect Atma? No. If not, why? We will study. First, weapon here means earth. Earth destroys anything by deforming it. Atma has no form and so cannot be destroyed. Fire burns things into ashes, that is, into its purest form. If we keep a mixture of gold and copper in fire, it separates into two into their pure form. Atma has no intrinsic gross element to be burnt. It is only pure existence. And water, it disintegrates by loosening things. Like if you put a petal of flour into water, it slowly splits up. Atma has no parts to be destroyed. Air destroys by drying. The fifth element, space, does it do anything? It is not mentioned here. Why? It is homework. Please study. Atma is Nirabhayam, that is, it has no components, it is pure, full, and complete. Lord Krishna is hammering that I am Atma, the Dehi which we have studied is Avinashi and not Deha. Next slide, please. Achadyoham, Adahyoham, Akledyo Shosha Evacha, Nitya Sarvagata Stanur, Achaloyam Sanatanaha. This Atma cannot be cut nor burnt, cannot be wetted, cannot be dried. This is eternal, all pervading, changeless, immovable, and unborn. Previous verse is called Hetu Shloka, that is cause, and this is Phala Shloka, that is a corollary, and this is a derivative of that. The first line appears repetitious, but here it is centered on Atma, whereas the previous verse is centered on things like weapons, etc. And it reiterates the fact that Atma is immortal. Here we should take Atma as real I. It is a Nididhyasana verse. I is Nityaha, that is not bound by time. Anything which is timeless has to be spaceless. So I am Sarvagataha, not bound by space. We know space is ever expanding. So even this space lies within me. So I am beyond it. Stanuhu, I am ever the same. Stanuhu means stem of a tree, big tree which doesn't move at all. It is also another name for Shiva. Achalaha is motionless. I am infinite, so there is nowhere to move and nowhere to go. I am Sanatanaha, that is old but ever fresh. Sanatana Dharma means universal, eternal truth, like things like Satyaha, non-violence, love, etc. And also not like mere rituals. Next slide, please. This knowledge is eternal. Atma, as I, is eternal, so I have to be all pervading and hence changeless. So infinite and cannot move. I am not a product, I am without birth, that is birthless. Here, Hinduism deals with two things, that is Sanatana Dharma. One is Dharma and another is Brahman. Material sciences like physics, chemistry continuously changes and updates almost every day. But Paravidya, Brahma Vidya is same, always eternal like Atma. The verse 20, Najayate Mriyate Va, concept is repeated here because it is very important. Deep inside, man is aware that he is immortal. Through ignorance and wrong identification with the upadhi, that is body mind complex, he perceives that this body is his and behaves like that. That is called as Sangha Doshaha. That is why he is not able to accept the fact that this body dies or death is there and craves for immortality and ready to go for any extent or any length for it. So attachment to this body is very strong and repeated hammering is required to separate it. That is why this concept is repeated twice. Thank you. Hari Om.
Thank you, Dr. Kiran, for a nice explanation of two important verses. This particular verse, Nainam Chindanti Shastrani, was a verse that was very enthusiastically chanted by those prisoners during British India before they were taken to the gallows. The way they would chant and the spirit with which they would walk to the gallows made the British set an inquiry commission to find out who is the author of this particular verse. We should arrest him because he is motivating the people too much. And this is that particular verse from the Bhagavad Gita, Nainam Chindanti Shastrani. As we look into life, all of us religious people live in what is called the triangular format. The example is if you are like a batsman coming out to bat, and you will see all the people around you are here to see how you are out. And the only person you can appeal to is probably the batsman on the other side who may have some support for you, and that is your family. And then, of course, we appeal to God, whom we are not able to see when we are so helpless. And this is what is called the triangular format of Jiva Jagat Ishvara. And this is what we have been doing for so long. But now that we are senior students of Advaita Vedanta, we move from the triangular format to what is called the binary format. In the binary format, there are only two things. In fact, there is only one. There is only Atma. Other than Atma, there is nothing else. But then I experience so many things around me, which I call Anatma. Anatma now we know as a lower level of reality, and that I as the Atma lend existence to the lower form of reality. Other than Atma, Anatma, there is nothing else. So in difficulty, whom do I turn to? Whom do I pray to? Suddenly you realize from God dependence, we have now moved to self-dependence. We now take responsibility for our life. There is nobody to pray to. If at all, there is only one prayer that we thank God for the Guru and the Shastras for having brought us to this experience that I am Atma, and whatever happens to my body or the world, which is Mithya, should not really affect me, because now I have understood what Atma Tattva means in all these verses that we have studied. Why is this shift so important? Now, if we have been in the world of problem solving as doctors and professionals, we know one thing for very clear. As a jiva, as an individual, in the triangular format, you will see there is no lasting solution to any problem. A problem is solved, a new problem is formed. If there is a lasting solution, it is to anchor into the Atma. As Atma, as the higher self, you will see that there is no problem. We continue our studies with verse 25, Smita Pai.
Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. Krishna wants to help Arjuna to get off and also make him fight the war, because that happens to to be his Swadharma. And for this purpose, he is giving the teaching from three different levels. First is Adhyatmik Drishti, that is philosophical level, Dharmika Drishti, moral level, Laukika Drishti, practical worldly level. Of this, the first approach is the Adhyatmik Drishti, in which Lord Krishna gives Arjuna Atma Jnana, the true nature of every individual he talks about. And the main teaching is from 12 to verse 12 to up to 25. The verse 25 begins like this. Avyaktoyamachintyoyam avikayoyamuchyate tasmadevam viditvainam nanushochitumarhasi. This Atma is imperceptible, inconceivable, unchangeable. Thus, it is said, therefore, having known this, that is the Atma, in this manner, you should not grieve. In this verse, Lord Krishna concludes the Atma Swarupam discussion. That is, Atma is achedyaha, cannot be cut, adahyaha, cannot be burned, akledyaha, cannot be wetted, ashoshyaha, cannot be dried, nityaha, eternal, sarvagataha, all-pervading, sthanuhu, changeless, achalaha, immovable, sanatanaha, eternal. Now, coming to the verse proper, avyaktaha ayam. Here, ayam means atma. Avyaktaha means that which is not available for the organs of perception, that is indriya agocharaha. Because the five sense organs can experience five sensory properties. The ears can perceive something which has got sound. That is, the imperceptible sound becomes perceptible because of the functioning of the ears. The eyes can perceive something which has form and color. The nose can perceive something which has smell. The tongue can perceive something which has taste. The skin can perceive something which has got touch. And how is this Atma? Atma is free from Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasagandha. These five properties belong to the matter. They belong to the Panchabhutas. These five properties are themselves avyaktam. They being jadam, they are not self-evident. This naturally non-evident world becomes evident because of the operation of sense organs. Then the question may arise, why can't Atma also be evident by the operation of the sense organs? Sri Shankaracharya ji says, Atma is not within the field of the sense organs. Therefore, the sense organs cannot convert avyakta Atma into vyakta Atma. Atma being non-material, it can never be perceived, and Atma being inaccessible to all the five sense organs, it cannot be made known by the sense organs. Therefore, Atma is avyaktaha. Next, ata eva achintyaha ayam. If Atma cannot be perceived, then it cannot be conceived, because all our concepts are based on our perceptual experience. When it is not perceptually available, how can we think of Atma? Whatever is not accessible to sense organs, that can never be visualized or meditated upon. Atma is not an object of comprehension, but the subject enabling you to comprehend. Therefore, it is achintyaha, that is, this Atma is unthinkable, unimaginable, impossible, or unobjectifiable by the mind. Next, Atma is avikaryaha. It is free from avikarya, means changeless. It is free from shatvikaraha. Atma has no birth, death, or change. It is a changeless substratum on which the changes take place. It is like the ocean in which waves go through the birth, death, and changes. Now coming to the second line of this verse, Tasmat evam viditva enam. Tasmat means therefore, evam viditva, having known the Atma very clearly. Lord Krishna says, Shochitum na arhasi. You should not grieve over any person, or it's not worth grieving. And Lord Krishna concluded this teaching by saying, Arjuna, you should understand that you are that Atma, and not only you are that Atma, Bhishma is also that Atma alone, Drona is also Atma. Therefore, there is no question of anyone killing or anyone or being killed, because you cannot kill Atma. The mortal body is not going to come back by grieving. and not the immortal Atma or the self is going to die. Thus, Lord Krishna tells Arjuna, having known about Atma, you should not grieve and you should not shirk your duty. Hari Om.
Thank you, Smita, for a nice explanation. And with the 25th verse, we come to the transition where all the Atma Swarupa has been discussed. The next two verses will be by Dr. Vishwanath. Over to you, Dr. Vishwanath.
Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. I'll be covering verses 26 as well as 27. Ata chainam nitya jatam nityam va manyase mritam tatapi tvam mahabhavo naivam sochitum arhasi. Meaning of the verse. However, if you consider this Atma to be constantly born and constantly dying, even then, you should not grieve like this, O Arjuna. The next few verses, beginning from verse 26, Lord Krishna gives a hypothetical argument to try and convince Arjuna as to why he should not grieve. Suppose Arjuna does not accept these teachings and believes that Atma is constantly born and constantly dying, or the Atma is only the temporary self. Even in such a case, Arjuna should not abdicate his duty and grieve. Aha manyase, suppose you believe in Atma, which is Nitya Jata, constantly born, Nityam va mritam, constantly dying, tatapi, even then, Tvam mahabhavo na evam sochitam arhasi, should not grieve over death. This is an extreme attempt to convince Arjuna, and why Krishna say this, we will look at in verse 27. Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityur dhruvam janma mritasya cha tasmad apariharyarte na tvam sochitum arhasi. Because death is certain for one who is born and birth is certain for one who is dead, therefore you should not grieve over this inevitable fact. This is an important verse where Lord Krishna highlights the reality of human existence. Krishna says, suppose Arjuna, you don't believe you are the eternal Atma, probably because Atma cannot be seen, and believe you are the body, at least learn to understand the nature of the body. The body has a date of birth and date of death. Whatever is born will have to die one day. Whatever has a beginning should necessarily have an end. Even people like Bhishma and Drona, who are considered as eternal Atma, even their bodies also have had an end. Scripture says anything born of karma will have an end when karma gets depleted. Jatasya mrityu dhruvam. What is born has to certainly die. Nobody can escape death. All the Rakshasas who asked for a boon of immortality after tapas had to die. All the avatars of Lord too had to face death. Dhruvam janma mritasya cha. Death is not the end of Jiva. He will be reborn. Death is never the end of a person. Therefore, we must accept birth and death of the physical body. And when you accept that, there is no resistance to death. Then there is no sorrow. Tasmad apariharyarte tvam sochitum na arhasi. In this slide, Dr. Deepak Chopra had to say, choiceless awareness is unique because it is complete. Next slide. Apariharya arte means no remedy for choiceless situation. The one who is intelligent, the only one intelligent thing that we can do is to accept the reality and surrender to the situation. And such an acceptance of choiceless situation should be with complete understanding and not with wrong attitude. For the right wisdom, one should have devotion to the God. Thus, with wisdom and surrender, one prepares himself to accept the choiceless situation. We have faced many choiceless situations, birth, family, past events, etc. in our life. Even the present situations are choiceless. For example, I am presenting this verse to all of you, and I have no choice but to present. I cannot say in the middle of the presentation that I cannot present. Similarly, many future situations are choiceless. We all grow old without a choice. Death is choiceless. Only a small portion of our future has a choice. Therefore, choiceful situations are few, whereas choiceless situations are many. Therefore, the first lesson to be learned in life is to learn to accept gracefully the choiceless situations. Tvam sochitam na arhasi. With regards to the choiceless situations, do not grieve. If the situation is choiceful, act. If the situation is choiceless, accept gracefully. Therefore, life is a series of events where either one acts or accepts. Hari Om.
Thank you very much, Dr. Vishwanath, for the explanation of these two verses. These two verses come under a group, what is called Abhayupetyavada. What is Abhayupetyavada? That means, for argument's sake, supposing you consider Atma is perishable, Krishna is giving, even in that context, he says, you must not grieve. Krishna is giving so many reasons. From now on, you will see, he will repeat this verse again and again. Please do not grieve. Please do not grieve. Why? Apariharya. When something is the nature of a thing, the nature of the body is to undergo aging, disease, and death. And if this is something that cannot be changed, the only way that we need to change is to change our attitude. And that is what is Krishna's trying to help us to change that which can be changed, and that which cannot be changed. He's telling us how we have to learn to accept. I would like to focus on the word Atha. In our scriptures, Atha is given as much significance as Omkara. Talking about the same aspect about worry, we may say it is natural. Whenever unpleasant things happen, we tend to worry. Our teacher Swamiji tells us, worrying, and some of us tend to worry more because this is part of our vasana. So any negative thought comes in because of various vasanas. But to entertain those thoughts, to be able to propagate those thoughts, they are part of our purushartha. That is part of our free will. And therefore, we need to be able to exert our free will so that we know by worrying, we are not able to change the situation. So go by Krishna's advice, do not grieve. Coming to the word Atha, all the famous scriptural works like the Brahma Sutra of Vyasacharya begins with Athato Brahma Jignasa. The Dharma Sutras of Jaimini begin with Athato Dharma Jignasa. The Bhakti Sutras of Narada begin with Athato Bhakti Jignasa. The Kaivalya Upanishad also begins with the word Atha. So that is the significance. You will see in the Bhagavad Gita this word, whenever there is a change in the context, the word Atha comes. Dr. Netra will explain the next verse. Over to you, Dr. Netra.
Namaste, Hari Om, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. So as explained previously, this section of the Bhagavad Gita is going to deal about the problems which has been faced by Arjuna is being analyzed in different angles: philosophical, dharmic, worldly, or materialistic. And this verse comes in between the philosophical and dharmic angle for a person who does not believe in Atma, that is a secular person. So this is a practical angle which is going to be discussing about the phenomenon of birth and death. So let us go on to the verse. Avyaktadini bhutani vyaktamadhyani bharata avyaktanidhananyeva tatra ka paridevana. O descendant of Bharata, Arjuna, all living beings are latent in the beginning, become manifest in the middle, unmanifest in the end. So why are you grieving over this? So let us understand this. So basically here Krishna is trying to negate the phenomenon of birth and death. So only when we understand the concept of birth, death, the knowledge, the real nature behind this, then it will remove the ignorance and fear. Coming to the next slide. So as we very well know that the ignorance is the dark room in which all the negatives are developed. So it is important to remove this ignorance. So nothing in this world is created nor destroyed. So scientifically, if we take according to the law of conservation of matter and energy, there is nothing created, nothing destroyed, even by omnipotent God. So where is the question of Janma and Maranam? So what do you understand by this word of birth and death? It is just a change in the phenomenon seen from different angles. It is the birth of today when it is the death of yesterday. So you take a water steaming with and converting into a steam. From the standpoint of water, it is the death or destruction. But from the standpoint of the steam, it is a birth or creation. So you see that it is just the change in the phenomenon or the forms. Coming to the next slide. Similarly, are we present? Similarly, if you take a seed, the seed of a mango tree, you just keep it in your hand, you realize that it is so small. Given the proper climate, water, sunshine, it grows into a sapling plant and then into a huge mango tree. So you realize that the blueprint of this huge tree was present in the seed. That is, the manifesting tree was present in the unmanifest form in the seed. So eventually with time, this tree gets converted into either wood, paper, or can even get burnt eventually and go into the soil and seed and become unmanifest form. So the present manifestation form, what was visible is called as the manifestation form, as well as the previous one is called as the unmanifestation form. So coming to the next slide, similarly, our body also is present in the unmanifest form even before creation. This may be called as energy, but in Vedanta, this is called as Prakriti, Maya, Shakti. So all this invisible, unmanifesting particles and matter condense to form this visible manifesting body. And eventually the body goes to different ages of life and then becomes unmanifest. So this conversion from unmanifest to manifest is called as Janma, and conversion from manifest to unmanifest is called as Maranam. It is similarly like an arrow which is going through a dark space. It will be avyakta. Coming to the next slide. And when it goes to a lighted room, it becomes vyakta. And then again goes back into the dark space, it is avyakta. So similarly, our life, it is what am I before birth? I am not aware of it. What am I going to become after death? I am not aware of it. In between these two unknowns, there is this brief known existence called life. So let us live life to the fullest and not worry. So here we see that Krishna is trying to make his best warrior friend to get up, rise, fight the war and not grieve over birth and death. Krishna is trying to dispel the concept of birth and death, whether you consider this personality as an eternal soul or a temporary body or a mixture of soul and body. There is nothing to grieve. It is just because of your attachment due to illusion. So Krishna is telling to Arjuna that this war is something which is unavoidable. So do your assignment and do not fall to the prey of grief. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Netra, for giving us a nice explanation of this verse where Krishna has moved away from the philosophical angle to a more practical angle. Now, you may say, I know all about Atma, but I still miss somebody when a person dies. And now Krishna is trying to help us to come to terms with death by trying to say death is not as bad as you think. It is actually a movement from manifestation to unmanifestation. And he explains like everything in nature moves from manifest to unmanifest, unmanifest to manifest. All of us except sleep. Sleep is also a form of a death, where the world is unmanifest for us and the world manifests once again. So let us be very sensitive to this message so that we are able to be not only spiritually wise, but also practically wise. The next verse will be explained to us by Dr. Narayan Murthy. Over to you, Dr. Narayan Murthy.
Hari Om, Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. In continuation of Lord Krishna's elaborate explanation about Atma, this shloka also deals with the special features of this Atma, how wonderful it is, how mysterious it is. Krishna, in his attempt to motivate Arjuna to discharge his duty as a Kshatriya, adopts 3 levels of teaching, which we have already mentioned by previous speakers. These 3 levels are philosophical, dharmic, and worldly. Krishna says Atma is the real self. It is the most mysterious and incomprehensible thing. Everybody is seeking it, knowingly or unknowingly. Atma is the only source of permanent peace, security, happiness, and fulfillment. All efforts to secure fulfillment in the outer world is bound to fail. He fails to understand what he is trying to get is not something outside of him, but it is himself. Means the seeker is the sought. The sloka goes like this: Ascharyavat pasyati kaschidenam, Ascharyavat vatati tadaiva chanyaha, Ascharyavat chaiva manyas shrunoti, Shrutvaapyenam vedana chaiva kaschit. Means objectification of Atma is the biggest mistake which everybody does. When he comes to know about this fact, it is a wonder. When he hears about this particular Atma from his Guru, it's a wonder. When he sees it, it's a wonder. The most wonderful thing is, in spite of seeing, hearing, telling about this Atma, he still fails to grasp the real nature of this wonderful Atma. This particular verse of Krishna has its origin from Kathopanishads, which goes like this: Shravanayapi bahuviryo na labhyaha, Shrunvantopi bahavo yam na vidyuhu, Ascharyo vakta kushalosya labdha, Ascharyo gnata kushalanusishtaha. Which means many people do not even have an opportunity to hear about this Atma or the real self. Many people who are fortunate to hear about it do not comprehend. This is a wonder. More wonderful thing is when a Shrotriya Brahmanishta Guru teaches a Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampanna Sishya, and this disciple is a wonder when he declares that he himself is that Atma, when he claims that he is Atma himself. Hari Om. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Murthy, for a nice explanation of a very important verse, which, as you said, comes from the Kathopanishad also. What is the importance of this verse? This verse talks about the greatness of what we are doing, Brahma Vidya. The student of Brahma Vidya is extremely rare. You remember that Bhagavad Gita verse, Manushyanam Sahasreshu. Among the thousands, very, very few people come to Brahma Vidya. To find a teacher is also extremely rare. And this verse is talking about what is this subject, what is this topic. Normally, when you're studying about the heart or the brain or anything in this world, it is an object which we can study. And that is how we have been trained to objectify or study anything as an object. Now, we are not studying about any object, we are studying about ourselves. And that is why the subject is also so that is the rarity. That is what is the meaning of wondrous this Brahma Vidya is. Although Dr. Murthy has mentioned, I will tell this again for importance. What are we doing all the time? All our efforts in our waking world is for happiness. We want peace, we want security, we want happiness. But we do not realize that Atma is the only permanent source of peace, security, and happiness. And Atma is our real self. And all our search outside of us is not going to help us, because the seeker is none other than the sought. That is the great wonder of all these things. And therefore, because of our ignorance, we know ourselves, but we have a wrong idea about ourselves. Vedanta points out that Atma Vidya or Brahman is not a new status. It is not a new substance, but it is a new status about myself. It is a recognition of the fact that the one who is observing, the real me, is not something ordinary, but something really extraordinary. And the more I understand this and I log on to that, in that state, I have all the peace, all the security, and all the happiness I possibly need. Very nicely described in that experience what transition happened to Karna when he was called by Kunti for the special meeting in between the Mahabharata war, when Kunti reveals to Karna that I have 6 sons, you know 5 of them. Would you want to know who is the 6th Pandava? And he says, yes, I'm very keen to know. And he says, you are that. You are that. Now, once he realized who he was, all his life limitations was that he did not know his true nature. And because of that, he had so much of a low self-esteem, and he suffered so much because of a low self-esteem. The whole transition is moving from a wrong idea to ourselves to a correct idea. And this takes some time for us to sink that I am not ordinary, but I am this extraordinary. The mistake that we make in this process of Atma Vidya is trying to objectify Atma. When people speak so gloriously about Atma, then we will say, all right, okay, now I know I have an Atma. Let me experience that Atma. Let me do various spiritual exercises to be able to experience Atma. And therefore, even though you may have a great teacher, we may be studying this for so long. And that is why it is said, the greatest wonder is you may be in Brahma Vidya for years, but you will not be able to grasp. Many people are still not able to grasp it. It happened in the life of Swami Chinmayananda, when he met his Acharya, Tapovan Maharaj, and he was introduced to this great Brahma Vidya. He was so motivated to bring this teaching to every corner of India. He said, everyone in the world must know this. And he took a very bold and a daring decision to give public lectures on the Gita and Upanishads, which was until then unheard of. Now, normally these very sacred texts are revealed only to a chosen few in a very particular setting, and often they are all renunciates. And when he started teaching them in English and to the general public, there was a lot of opposition by the orthodoxy. And the reason is this. You know, this is also in the scriptures, do not give to dogs what is sacred. Do not throw your pearls to the pigs. Because something is so sacred, people may not be able to value. Swami Chinmayananda with a smile would call them and say, don't worry at all about these things. I may speak them in the pulpit, but very, very few people are able to understand. And that was his mission. Even if a very few people are able to understand, it is going to make a transformation in the whole world. And that is what exactly he did. He did a school, and from his school, he created hundreds and hundreds of teachers. And it is because of these teachers, we've had the good fortune sitting in our own homes with our family, continuing to do all the work that a normal Grihastha has been doing. And yet, those refined Himalayan wisdom, which is given to a sacred few, has been shared with all of us. And that is why we are so grateful to the Guru Parampara. The next verse will be explained to us by Dr. Vikram Hoded. Over to you, Dr. Vikram.
Good evening, sir. Gurubhyo Namaha. This is verse 2.30. Dehi nityam avadyoyam dehe sarvasya bharataha tasmat sarvani bhutani na tvam sochit marhasi. O Arjuna, this Atma present in everybody is ever indestructible. Therefore, you should not grieve for the sake of any being. So after glorifying this knowledge, Krishna concludes this Atma Gnanam topic in this sloka, repeating or summarizing what he has said till now. There are two lessons. First lesson is that body is mortal subject to old age, disease, and death. We do have a lot of power over these things to some extent, but we cannot conquer these three things. Old age is inevitable, disease is inevitable, and even if we avoid these two, death is inevitable. And once we are born here, we should be ready to accept this fact. And the most unfortunate thing is we do not know when the death is. Therefore, first we should be ready to welcome the death. This mental preparation and this acceptance of physical mortality is the first lesson. The second lesson is behind the mortal body is the real I. So the mortal body is only the superficial I, but the real I is behind the mortal body, which is called Dehi. Therefore, Deha Anitya, Dehi Nitya. And we have to extend this to Bhishma, Drona also. So if we remove the superficial I of Bhishma, Drona, or Arjuna, the real I is the Atma. So once you are mentally prepared, these deaths will not shock you. Certainly, death will disturb the mind. After all, we are human beings. Death is very big shock, especially when it is in very close quarter. The study of Vedanta and assimilation of Vedanta may not and will not totally remove the disturbance, but it will become tolerable and manageable. That I learned to accept it. It disturbs me for some time, and I know that this is a part of life, and I have to continue my journey. Just because one member gets down from the train cannot stop, nor can my journey stop. I will have to continue the journey. Therefore, the greatest advantage is nothing shocks me. Maximum what happens is disturbance, which is manageable disturbance. And therefore, Arjuna, you also assimilate this wisdom. He says, Aham Dehi Nityam Avadhyam. Aham Dehi means this Atma which is described in all the previous slokas like Nityaha, Satyaha, Sarvagataha, Akarta, Abhokta. In short, the Chaitanyam, the consciousness is Nityam Avadhyayam, ever immortal. It is ever indestructible. And where does it reside? Sarvasya Dehe. This permanent Atma, indestructible Atma, is encased in perishable body. Sarvasya Dehe Vartaha Bharatha. Sarvasya Dehe, body which is mortal, and having appreciated this fact, extend the same law with regards to Bhishma and Drona. Our problem is what? Mortality we are ready to accept, but as long as it takes place elsewhere. But when it is really required, what is really required is extend the law to everyone, whether it is close to me or far away from me. Therefore, Krishna says, Sarvani Bhutani Sochitam Na Arhasi. You should never grieve over any living being, or the death of any living being, or the old age of any living being. Whatever help you can do it to alleviate the pain you do, and if you can try to extend the life by giving medicine, etc., if that is also possible, we should do it. What is my duty? Krishna is going to tell. We are going to discuss the duty in the following verse. My duty is helping the person to be happy and comfortable and make him survive as long as possible. And in spite of all my efforts, when the death comes, then I am supposed to accept it as a fact of life. Therefore, never grieve. And grief is not going to change a fact. Grief is never going to change a fact. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Vikram, for a nice explanation of the practical way to be able to come to terms with the death of people around you or close to you. With this, we come to the end of today's class, and not only end of this class, by the end of this verse 30, which you just explained, we have Sri Krishna sort of summarizing what he has already said. Remember, all this topic now was about Brahma Vidya, and the main theme was, if you know your real self, then you play the game of life, and when serious things happen, you can pretend to be sorrowful, but do not grieve. Do not grieve. If you grieve, then you do not know your true nature. With that, we come to end of today's class. We have completed 8 verses because some of the verses are very similar. So in the next class, we will have 9 verses from verses 31 to 40. And I will request all sincere students to look into these verses so that if you have a book of the Gita, try to make your own understanding, make your little notes, and then when these verses are explained to you, it becomes much more meaningful. We will have a chanting of these 8 verses that we have just studied now. It will be by Mrs. Indumati. Over to you, Indumati.
Om Nainan Chindanti Shastrani Nainan Dahati Pavakaha Nachainam Kledayantyaapo Nashoshayati Marutaha Achedyoyamadahyoyam Akledyo Shoshya Evacha Nitya Sarvagatastanuhu Achaloyam Sanatanaha Avyaktoyamachintyoyam Avikaryoyamuchyate Tasmadevam viditvainam nanushocitumarhasi Athachainam nityajatam nityam vamanyase mrutam Tathapi tvam mahabaho naivam shocitumarhasi Jatasya hi dhruvo mrutyuhu dhruvam janma mrutasya cha tasmada pariharyerthe natvam shocitumarhasi Avyaktadini bhutani vyaktamadhyani bharata avyaktanidhananyeva tatra ka paridevana Ascharyavat pashyati kaschidенam Ascharyavat vadati tathaiva chanyah Ascharyavat chaina manya shrunoti Shrutvaapyenam vedana chaiva kaschit Dehi nityam avadhyoyam Dehe sarvasya bharata Tasmat sarvani bhutani Natvam shocitumarhasi.
Thank you, Indumati ji. I loved it. Thank you, sir. And thank you to all the speakers. The slides really helped. Life is about moving to the from the triangular format to the binary format. Again, Bhagavad Gita is a user manual. Let's give it quality time and attention. It will help us to come out of grief, fear, the circle of samsara, and live life to the fullest, like Dr. Netra said. Today's notes will be shared on the Telegram Param Vedanta group. Next week, Friday, we move from Jnana Yoga to Karma Yoga. On Monday, the 17th of May, we will have a final class on Viveka Chudamani, the select 108 verses. Please log in at 6:45 p.m. Indian Standard Time. Now note, from 24th onwards, 24th of May, we will be having 2 classes per week on Bhagavad Gita every Mondays and Fridays at 6:45 p.m. Let's chant. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om.